All right, I'm here with the legend that is Jordan Schmidt. He
Hey,
is a musician, guitar player, film photographer. He lives in New York now, but
correct.
he is not from New York originally.
No, big
Yeah,
Florida boy.
yeah. So let's start from there. So, little Jordan, where were you born? Where did you grow up? Your parents, siblings?
Okay, dead center of Florida,
Nice.
Lakeland, Florida.
Come on.
It's not the middle of nowhere anymore, but it used to be. And dad, mom, sister, brother, and that's it. I'm right in the middle, middle of Florida, middle of the family.
Dude, sick. Lakeland's getting tons of shout outs in these.
I know. Yeah, that's crazy.
So you grew up in Lakeland. Um, when did you start kind of playing guitar? Were you young, or did that come in later? Or
Okay, so I think I might have seen like some concert on TV when I was a child. I mean, TV in general. There's always like some musician going on in
yeah,
the late '90s, early 2000s. So I remember like I was 8 and then 9 on Christmas asking for an electric guitar. I was like, "Mom, I need this electric guitar." And finally, on my 10th birthday, they hooked it up and they got me this little Strat, and then it's history from then on out. So
nice,
so
nice.
young, and then I didn't really grow into it until probably like middle school. I was like 14 or something like that. I joined the jazz band, played guitar, and it was kind of just like we had like 3 of us and we were like trying to show off. So it was almost like I got good just to like show off the fact that I could play Van Halen better than the next guy. So
Sick. So so what were some of the so you said you were like 8 or 9. So what was kind of the music that you listened to, or that you remember anyway, like from that time that you were like into? Or was your dad into music?
yeah, but he didn't let me listen to the music he listened to. He listened to like he had his work truck and he had like Linkin Park or something like that. It was just like not for a child. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
I mean, I remember Third Eye Blind. I mean, it was mainly radio stuff, really. So
Yeah.
it's like Third Eye Blind. I remember Blink 182, Yellow Card. Those were like the ones that stood out to me as a kid. Plus,
Yeah,
like the 80s, 90s, well, the 70s, 80s, and 90s now, or whatever it was back then, you know? So,
for sure.
yeah, as much Talking Heads and Flock of Seagulls and all that, new wave stuff. That was sick.
Yes, it comes later, but our friendship starts with the Talking Heads. So we'll get to
Yes,
that later.
I know. That was a real moment.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's
Okay,
definitely say.
so 8 or 9 radio. Do you remember kind of the first band that you were like into and was like, okay, this is my thing right here?
I'm trying to think. It probably was. It was. You know what? Oh, I hate to say this. It was probably Sugar Ray. You remember that?
Yeah, yeah, dude.
Someday. I remember
Yes.
when Someday came out, and that was like this bops. Like I was so into that. And
Was
then
that was that the cover where the dog's feet were like on the diving board or something? Was that Sugar Ray?
I don't remember. I
It's like,
remember the toothpaste like scribble. Like I remember that for some reason, but I don't remember.
oh yeah, they're like logo, yeah.
Yeah.
Sick. Okay, so
Shoot.
Sugar Ray.
Yeah. And then probably just like any classic rock song that comes on the radio. That was like anything that had a loud guitar was the one for me.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Sick. So you were playing in jazz band, and you said you were like 14, kind of going into high school.
Yeah. I forget what. I don't even remember. Oh, wow. We're reaching real far back. I remember there was like a handful of us, and jazz band really was like the smallest part of like that kind of ecosystem for playing guitar. It was like we all got there like mad early in the morning. We would just sit around the band room and we had a couple of amps set up, a couple of guitars. We'd just sit in a circle and
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember, they had the tab books that you could learn literally like 100 songs out, and they were probably like 4 inches thick. And we would just whip it open and we'd just be learning guitar stuff. And so then we played. I remember 7th grade. We had a talent show, and we played "Rockin' in the Free World," Neil Young.
Yes.
And I was so pissed because one of the kids was like, "I'm playing the solo," and I was like, "Dude, but I'm the shredder. Don't you know?
I played Van Halen better than you.
I could shred this solo." I don't even think I knew the song that well. I think like our original option was "Under the Bridge" by the Chili Peppers, but the lyrics were a little too suggestive for the middle school audience, so turned it a "Rockin' in the Free World."
That's
So,
awesome.
did that. That was actually, I think that was probably the first time I was on a stage. 7th grade talent show.
I was going to ask. 7th grade talent show, first time, huh?
First time. Oh man, I was freaking out. Like, I will never forget the jitters before like going on your, and it wasn't like anything. It was just moms and dads, right? But like at the same time, I'm like, oh my, I'm gonna play guitar for people. Like, that was nuts. That was like, this is it. This is the coolest thing.
Mm-hmm. So that's 7th grade. So did you play in any bands like after that, like into high school, or did you just kind of play guitar?
I wish I would have. I played in churches, really.
Yeah.
Like, my family was big in going to church, and so the best way for me to get involved in a church was just like, play guitar. So any opportunity I had to play, I would, which was like 3 nights a week for like 6 years of my life. You get real good at like the number system and all that fun stuff, but like especially like Central Florida was like big into hardcore.
Mm-hmm.
I think I only did it because it was the popular thing to do, but like looking back, I'm like, why did I listen to this?
So that was like high school. Was that high school?
Yeah, that was like 9th, 10th, 11th maybe. Yeah, towards 11th, I figured out like what I like is music, which is just like regular alternative rock, whatever, soft rock. Yeah. I think when did Forever Ago come out? When was that? What year was that?
Oh, I don't know what year it was, but that probably about that time.
That's about that time. Yeah.
Did your brother, was he into music and stuff or not really?
No, he liked rap, and I hated rap.
I
hated rap, and it was also like justified for those years too, like the bling era rap, and it was just like ludicrous. I'm like, nah, I'm good. Like, I'm fine. This is not me.
So, okay, so then so you're in high school. You're still playing guitar, but you're not really playing in bands. And you're still living in. You went to high school in Lakeland, right? You've been there, or you were there,
right? I did like one random spurt, like my 10th grade year. I lived in Charlotte, North Carolina, for literally almost a year to the day. And it was just like the weirdest year of my life. And that's the year I got like really into Blink-182. That was like, there was nothing else for me to do. I didn't have any friends there or anything like that. And like, I don't know, what was I, 15? I learned like, my socializing skills weren't quite what they were. So it was just, I sit in my bedroom and I literally learned every single Blink-182 album front to back. I could probably still play a couple of them, but like, oh my God, awesome. I spent and then I think I went into the Angels and Airwaves catalog. I was just like, this isn't enough. Give me a delay pedal. Let's do these dotted quarter and dotted eighth notes. That's the ones.
Yeah. So then, when did you start surfing?
Oh, probably, early high school, I think. It was probably 9th grade. Because then it was like, that's like kind of the time that you get your like freedom from your parents. So it's like, all right, we're going to the beach and we're going to go surfing. And so did that a couple times. It was maybe like, I love to play it up like I was a big surfer, but I surfed maybe like once every 2 months or something. It was like whenever I could afford to go rent a surfboard, because I didn't have a job or anything like that. I was like, all right, Mom, I've got my $40. Let's go.
Yeah. I mean, and Lakeland's not that close to the beach, so you would have to drive.
No. Yeah, it's like an hour and a half plus tolls, and you got to find a parent willing to drive you out there, or like have a friend with a big enough car,
Yeah, sick. So, so you're playing music, surfing a little bit anyway, hanging out in Lakeland, and then what'd you do after high school? I don't really know this.
Me either. So this vague area of my life. I was like in and out of community college. I like got a job. What even happened then? Nothing interesting. Trying to think like that's such a waste of my like from like when do you graduate? 18, 17, 18 to like 21 was like the weirdest. Like I didn't do anything. I got a car and then that was pretty much it. I think I probably got more into photography at that time.
Yeah.
And then yeah, just the same old, always trying to find new music, trying to do whatever.
So you're still you were stayed in Lakeland after after high school. And
Right.
surprisingly, Lakeland's weird. It has like a random music scene that you would never think is there. I mean, there's like
low key.
Yeah, and then everyone kind of
but you know like the new Lakeland. So like the Lakeland I grew up in was like just this country town. Like I say that because my house, I was in like the suburbs and my house backed up to a cow pasture. Like it's some random neighborhood off of, some country road. But yeah, music, it was weird. If you weren't into hardcore, you weren't like doing music in Lakeland. Like they had this old venue downtown. I think it was like the Mad Hatter or something like that. And it was like notorious for these like hardcore shows that got a little too hardcore and like they shut it down. I don't know. It's like this valued treasure to these kids in Lakeland that are like in their 30s now. But yeah, so you kind of know like the Lakeland that's like actually kind of cool now. I'm kind of mad that I don't live there anymore. I'm like, man, it's like so sick. The music scene's gotten so much cooler. A lot of singer-songwriters, a lot of indie, a lot of like the Vanguard Room.
Yeah,
those guys kill it.
Yeah,
they did the Willix EP. Like imagine the Willix EP came out of Lakeland, Florida. Like
yeah,
me and Chaz were writing songs for Willix in his bedroom down in South Lakeland, and that's just something you would not have seen when I was in like that was just like not even cool. Like
yeah,
what, you play synth pop? What is that? Like the lamest thing I've ever heard.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask because I know you played and wrote with Chaz for the Willix EP that one they did in Lakeland. So were you doing anything with anybody else at that time? Because this is like Chaz is in college. You weren't going to school right at the time.
Right, I was kind of in and out. School wasn't. It's like when you realize school isn't for you, but you're still like trying to please my parents, like whatever. Yeah. So I think at that time, I know when Chaz and I started playing music, I was like, oh shoot, Chaz is doing this. Why am I not doing this? And I had all like the equipment and stuff. Like I kind of dabbled with it throughout the years. So I started actually writing my own stuff around then. And then I think it was mainly skating and surfing, actually. That's when I actually started skating and surfing, was right around the time I met Chaz. So that's kind of like the new wave of like my style.
Yeah. And so you were just pretty much playing with Chaz or some other friends, surfing at this time. And then you started getting into writing your own stuff. Is that kind of how it happened?
Yeah, pretty much.
And then you released an EP that was just called, just under your name, right? It was just.
No, it was called, what was it called? Dang. Don't even know my own stuff. What happened was I was like, I can't call it something, whatever. So I literally just gave it a name on the spot. I wrote it down and I didn't even, Situations.
That's
what is that? What is that? I don't even know what that is, but yeah, that was my first EP.
Yeah, that one's sick. That one, because when I met you, that was what you showed me as your music.
Okay.
So when did you put that out? Do you remember?
Well, it says on Spotify 2018, so I'm guessing that. But I remember I was so, like putting out music is like real vulnerable. Like I've never been able to like push over that, like, oh, I'm like putting a piece of myself out there. Like I'm not shy, but I'm not like the most forward person. So to put like music that I've made, like something that I think is like interesting or whatever, to like potentially be criticized for it. I was like, ooh, this is like nerve-wracking. Like, are people gonna like this? So I put that out, but I'd been writing that for like 2 years probably. So I remember
that took a long time to get how you wanted it and written.
Right. Yeah. Like Stay, I remember, was like the first song I ever wrote, which is on that EP. And I was so hyped. I was like, whoa, I wrote this? This is sick. And that was like the first song that I was like kind of proud of. And so that's why I was like, I held on to it. I was like, I'll show a couple people this, but like, I don't know, like, you know what it feels like. You're like, this is weird, but
yeah. So this is the time you have that comes out a little later, but this kind of, you're surfing, skating, writing music, and then this when you dove like heavy into photography. Let's get into the photography stuff.
I think
because obviously I know you play music and you know you have the new project, the other EP you put out, which we could talk about. But I think he was like really you're a photographer and you know like
yeah, it's these weird identities that I hold. Like it's kind of funny to like I know how people know me, or like I know when I met somebody by how they know me. Like if you're like, oh, I know Jordan, the guy that played in Willix, or like I know Jordan, the guitarist, or I know Jordan, the photographer, or the skater. You know, like I could probably pinpoint when we met each other by how you know me. So that's kind of funny. I'm trying to think. I picked up a camera, I think for the first time, probably like 2010. I was digging through my parents' closet. And I just found this old camera bag, and I was like, yo, what is this? And it's this old Pentax, just, a classic 60s SLR. And I was like, this is sick. Like, I need to learn how to use this. And so I brought it out to my dad, like, kind of like I wasn't supposed to be in there, but I found this, so can I use it? And he's like, do they even make film anymore? And I was like, I don't know, let's find out. So we went down to Walgreens, picked up a pack, shot 3 rolls of it, sent it off to be developed, and I realized really quickly how expensive it is to shoot film. But at the same time, I was like, this is crazy. This is like some piece of plastic that you shoot pictures on, and somehow you don't get to see them until they're developed in chemicals, and they have to print the pictures for you. And it was like a weird experience, but it turned out really, like the colors and like not necessarily the shots, but like it was kind of like I'm trying to think, because I didn't develop the photos until probably a month later, and I'd completely forgotten what was on there. So it's like the magic of like what was on the roll, and you get to see the pictures a month later. You're like, whoa, that was insane.
Yeah.
So after that, I kind of been picking up a roll or two every couple of months. I would spend like 2 or 3 months shooting one roll of film, which is 24 shots if you get the Walgreens stuff. And I'd be like, oh, should I shoot this? Like is this worth a frame of my film? And so I've been doing that for a couple of years. And then actually when probably right after I graduated high school, I got a little bit more, had some spare money. So I was like, all right, let's start shooting. So, and that's about the time that I met Chaz and met a couple of other people in that kind of circle from Southeastern. I just started shooting photos with people. Shooting photos while surfing, shooting photos while skating. And I don't know what was so obsessive to me about it. I was like, these photos are so sick. Like, why wouldn't I want to be taking photos of this? Like, it's just this weird thing that I had to do. It wasn't like, nobody was asking me to do it. I was like, yo, let's go skate so I can get some photos. It was kind of funny. But so that kind of developed, and then now we're here, I guess. I don't know.
I think what's cool about your photography is you started with film, where like most, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like you started with film, and from that story.
Right.
Most people these days start with digital, and then they'll get into film photography like later once they.
Right.
You've always just shot film. Like, do you shoot digital at all?
I owned a couple digital cameras.
Okay.
I no longer own digital, which I kind of hype myself up about, but it's not really that big of a deal. Yeah, it's kind of pretentious. Like, yeah, I just have a film camera. It's fine. Like,
Well, you also
whatever.
have super nice film cameras.
I indulged on this last one I just bought.
What did you
Like,
get?
not even hyped to tell people how much I paid for it. I got the Mamiya RZ67 Pro 2. It's like one of the nicest cameras you can have, especially for shooting like portraits and stuff like that. And it's just like the thing is, I spent 10 years shooting on that Pentax. It's not like I went and bought a couple of different cameras, but I sold them because they just didn't work for me. And then I just always stayed true to this one camera I had. So I think that's kind of unique. It's like I always grew up in this world, like do the most with what you have until you can't do any more with it. And so I finally, like, this year I was like, you've been doing this for a while now, and you needed to upgrade. So I finally, purchased it, but it was not fun. It's not enjoyable spending that kind of money. You're like,
Because you were
just to know what you're gonna still spend on film. Like, you're still spending whatever you do to develop and scan it. So it's like,
yeah. Because were you doing medium format stuff when I was at your house, when I was in Lakeland?
Maybe. I had bought, I'm trying to think. Were you there? I had a RB67 for like 4 or 5 months. And it was like the older version of the camera I got now. And it was sick. It's just like, it was cumbersome. And the way I was shooting back then, it didn't really work out. Like, cause I'd go on photo walks. Like, I'd be walking like 10 miles. I'd just go out and spend a couple hours out there. The camera's like 8, 9, 10 pounds. I don't remember how much it was, but it's just a brick. It was literally the size of a football.
Yeah.
You just be like, I held it like a football. And so, I got rid of that thing really quick. But
so then you did, I have it right here. You did.
Whoa. Vintage Jordan Schmidt. What?
Which this was, it doesn't have it does have, this is 2018.
Okay.
And this is the zine that you put out that was all Coast stuff. And
so this is right around the time where I was like, why am I not making like stuff with maybe a little bit more of a purpose?
This one's
okay, so like Cocoa Beach, where I shot that, or it was more like Cape Canaveral, Cocoa Beach, but that's like where I grew up, like learning how to surf, and like that's where like we'd hang out on the weekends and stuff like that. So like that area has always meant so much to me. But it's like to realize like I don't know if you've even been, but like people don't experience this is like not the norm for people, but like this is like that classic 1960s Florida, which is like a lot of my inspiration for my photos is just like out of the architecture, out of the landscape, just the beachscape, the ocean. So I was like, I need to go and pinpoint like what it is about like the coast that I love. Like that's so interesting to me, which was even funnier because when I got it and I showed people, they missed it by miles. They were like, oh, this is sick. You should like send it to like tourism shops or like send it to like, you should send it to like a travel guide. And I was like,
this is,
I mean, yes, I hope that you get to experience it, but what is this one?
This one's sick. The house with the pink like mailbox thing.
Yeah, dude, the little seashell. That's so Florida. That's the front of the house on that other side.
So is this the time that kind of formed the style that, I mean, because this is kind of still what you shoot now. I mean, you do black and white stuff too, right? Like portraits and stuff.
Yeah, if it lends to it. I actually don't love doing black and white. I've always been like more into color. And I have friends that are like, if the color doesn't add anything to it, it should be black and white. And I'm like, true, but I'm gonna keep it color. Yeah.
So is this time kind of when you were you always kind of shooting this stuff? Because at this point you had already been shooting for a good 7 years.
Yeah. So when I was doing that, what had happened was I owned, so that's coming out of like, I bought a DSLR, like a digital camera, and it was fun. It was like I got the photos instantly. I could, like go on my skate and surf trips and have the photos like right after the session. So it was exciting, and then I was shooting portraits and stuff like that. And it just like got less, like the results weren't as satisfying, or it wasn't like as gratifying after I was done. It was more like people started like, oh, can you take some photos for me? And it was like,
gotcha.
I should probably be getting paid for this, but I'll just keep doing my thing. And like, it was whatever. It just turned into like, it almost felt like I was getting abused for my photography. So I was like, all right, I'm done with this. And that's about the time that I sold my DSLR. And that's when that book's about the time that I picked back up my film camera. And I was like, all right, this is it for me. Like,
Sick.
This is what I'm going to do. So then I went out and shot that, and I'm trying to think.
Because you shoot a lot. I mean, you are always I'm sure you hang on to photos, but I feel like you're always releasing new photos and new stuff, right? Like,
yeah, I try to keep it going. It's just, like I said, film photography is mad expensive.
Yeah.
So I was like that's why the benefit of shooting like 35 millimeter, you get 36 shots. So you can just, all right, I'll post this one, and I'll keep out of this. And some of those are like B-sides that I was like, these are trash, but I'll just post this up, whatever.
Yeah, for sure. Sick. So this is not too long. So I met you, I think, not too long after you did this book. And the story there is Willix was playing a show. I had been playing bass with Willix, and we were playing a show in Lakeland, and our guitar player couldn't come. So you actually played guitar on the on the EP. So
yeah, only on one track. I can't own up to the whole thing. But
so it made sense. And we were in Lakeland a couple days, so we came in, stayed with you at your house.
Yeah.
Played the show.
It was a fun weekend.
And
interesting weekend.
Had a blast. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was awesome.
That was a lot of fun.
It was funny because Chaz, I did this for Chaz, like I was telling you, and he was like, "Yeah, honestly, man, like Jordan's pretty picky about who he likes. So when we were staying at his house, we were like kind of nervous if you guys were gonna get along."
Really?
Yeah, and it was funny because you and I just basically left Chaz and Liz and hung out.
Yeah, we're chilling. That's hilarious.
Because I was driving around.
That was his impression of me. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Trying to I guess maybe I am picky like that. I don't know. That's funny.
But that was a blast, and we hung out at your house for a couple days in Lakeland and played the show. And
hottest show I've ever played in my life.
Oh, dude, and your car did
have
air conditioning. We were driving around.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I remember when we got off the stage, I literally had sweat. Like, I mean, my entire body, like all my clothes down to my shoes were like completely drenched. But like, I picked my guitar out of my case the next day, and I had like drips, like probably like 40 drip beads of sweat that went down. I was like, oh, this is grimy.
Dude, that's amazing.
Dude, it was awesome.
I remember before we played the show, we were just hanging out at your house watching like cartoons and like listening.
Yeah.
You and I were like trying to get Chaz to listen to like music we liked. So we were like listening to Talking Heads.
If I'm picky with people, Chaz is picky with music. That guy, he's like, nah, this ain't it. I'm like, you haven't even given, nah, this ain't it. I'm like, all right. I mean, you know what you like.
Yeah.
Dude, okay. So then we can talk about the Talking Heads now. Because both of us got to indoctrinate Chaz and Liz into the world of the Talking Heads, turned on Stop Making Sense. I'm like, This is the best thing I think I know in existence. And you're like, yes, no, it is. So that was fun. And they're both sitting there like almost in shock. They're like, what did they love about this? like, I don't know what I love about it. It's David Byrne, and he's doing his thing. What else is there to love? Like,
yeah, that was awesome. And then we listened to get pumped up for the show. We put on the Nutcracker, and
yes. Oh no, I remember that, dude. Yeah.
That was
why.
And you introduced me to Fat Jack's. We got some breakfast. Dude,
Oh yeah,
we were living the
definitely
dream.
sick for sure.
Yeah, that was a blast. It was a lot of fun. And then the next day, we were supposed to leave like early, but then the night after the show, Chaz and Liz like hit something. Remember, and they got a flat tire.
Yeah, yeah. We're like, we took him down to the 7-Eleven. You guys was like supposed to be leaving town, and we're just sitting there like, I don't think you're going anywhere right now. Like, I don't know what he hit. It's like all I heard was like this da-da. I was like, that was a real da-da to get your tire to do that.
Such like a classic Chaz like thing to happen too. Like,
I think I hit like a metal pole or something. I'm like, what are you doing?
Oh, that was amazing.
But to be fair, like I-4 is the Wild West. Like,
yeah, dude.
That's likely to happen.
I also remember we were eating at that Mexican food place, and this lady was like leaving, and she like fell. Do you remember that? And you like,
I
went out there to make sure she was okay. She was like mad at you for like asking if she was okay.
Yeah. So yeah, we were sitting in the back of Tapatios, and what happened? The lady had a prosthetic leg, right? Was that?
I don't remember. I just remember she fell like on a curb or something.
You know what? Okay, no, that was a normal lady. Okay, that's not the first time that's happened at that restaurant for me.
That's amazing.
No, because I'm thinking back. I was with my family, and I saw an older dude with a prosthetic leg kicked the curb because he just didn't make clearance. It kicked the curb, and he was down for the count. I did not ask him if he was okay, but I think somebody did, and then I remember that. Yeah, we were out the back. She left out the back door. And she did the same thing, kicked the curb, and just like ate it like hard. Like, I was like, ooh, that's not good. You all right? I'm fine.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, chill. All right.
She was like all irritated that you asked her. She was okay.
Yeah.
That's
I'm embarrassed, but yeah.
So that happened, and then you put a. Actually, you showed me when I was there one of the songs that you would release. I think it was Blacktop, or it was some song.
Yeah, no, it was Blacktop.
It was
That's
like
the one. I remember that.
Yeah, it was like a
it was me, you, and Chaz and Liz. We're all sitting in my bedroom, and I was like, all right, well, I've had this one for a little bit. I've just been sitting on it, and they're like, you guys were just sitting there. You're like, dude, this is so sick. Like, put this out, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll do that. So I went and like recorded it, like kind of nice. It was like a demo at the time, so I recorded it and then put it out there. And actually, might still be one of my favorites. I like that one.
That song.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you put out a couple singles, Paradise, right, and then
right,
and then you put out a new EP that was like as a new project.
Right. Yeah. Because my first music that I put out under my name, and it's just kind of weird to me. I don't know, like I'm not Jack Johnson, I'm not John Mayer. Like I don't need like the name affiliation. So if I can hide under a mask, I'm going to. So I put New Face, New Face with the German spelling of new, like N-E-U-E. And so like I don't even know if you pronounce it new, to be honest, but it's like Bon Iver. You just pronounce it how you want to pronounce it.
Yeah.
So, I put that out, and shoot, I lost where I was going with that.
You put that out, and then I think you moved to New York like not too long after that, right? I feel like
no, I did a brief stint in Daytona Beach. Actually, I lived there for about a year.
Nice.
So, I moved there in November. Okay, yeah. So I moved to Daytona before I even put that out. That Still Here record. I did that while I was living in Daytona, actually. I'd kind of like been working on it for a while. I'd put out the EP before, been out for almost a year. And I was like, all right, I should probably start putting something else out or start working on something at least. And then got around, I think it was like June or July, I put out Still Here. And I was actually really happy with that. That was cool. Oh, yeah. The story I was trying to remember was, so like Vampire Weekend, you remember their first record?
Yeah.
What's it called? Is it just self-titled, I think?
I think so. I think
so. There's that song on there that's called Blake's Got a New, I think it's Blake's Got a New Face, right?
Yeah.
New Face, right? And so I started a job, and literally the first day on the job, this girl looks at, and this is like the first day I put out the record. It was under New Face. I was like, okay, so I got my new music, New Face, and this chick at my new job, she's like, you don't look like a Jordan, you're Blake. And I was like, Blake? I just like put out music as New Face. I was like, this for me, it was like a weird coincidence. I was like, Blake's got a New Face, huh? There's something to that. And I was like, awesome. All right. It was like this weird moment I had. I was like, because like that album's the reason I bought like a guitar, like the guitar that they both, I think they used the same one, the Sheridan 2. That's why I bought that thing. I bought the natural tone. I was like, I want to be like that. Like that album was huge for me, the Vampire Weekend self-titled. And so it was just like this weird, Blake's got a New Face, and then you're Blake. And so like literally like the entire time that I worked at that job, that girl called me Blake. I actually like learned to like answer to Blake. Like when people say like call you by not your name, you just never react. I actually got to the point where I was like, oh yeah, Blake, what's up?
Yeah.
So weird.
So I didn't know that you went to Daytona, because I think when I was in Lakeland, you were planning on trying to move to New York, or you were going there, like were kind of going back and forth or something at the time.
Yeah, New York was always like the end goal for me. It was like, even since I was like a kid, it was like, I gotta move to New York. Like that's where, like, for me, that's where everything that's ever been relevant or anything that I've ever liked has happened in New York City, right? It is like such a big cultural hub for music, photography, art in general. It's always been the most inspiring place for me. And but I was living at home. I was living with my parents. So the easiest option is go where your parents go. So I moved to Daytona. And that's when I got like decent at surfing. That was like, there's nothing to do on the coast of Florida if you're not at the beach. So I had a surfboard. I was out there pretty much every day. Like my weekends were like pretty much 15 hours of my weekend were spent in the water. I was like when I was like heavily into surfing and got all right. And then it was the beginning of August. My buddy that went to school in Lakeland at Southeastern, where Chaz was, he was down in Orlando, and I came and was just like, he was in Orlando and we were chilling. I was like, hey dude, I think in a month I'm going to move to New York. He was like, oh really? Like, yeah. So he went back to New York, and a couple of weeks went by, and I was like, yeah dude, I'm coming up to New York. And I was like, you got any place for me to stay? Like, awesome. You know anybody that's got a place for me? And like, whatever. I moved up here, just packed my car and left, and now I'm in New York, and it's been pretty smooth sailing. It's like one of those weirdly smooth like transitions. Like you'd think moving to New York would be like a really tough, like whatever. I got here, no job, and like I literally had like $400. I drove up here. I blew all the tolls because I gotta save my money for when I get, like I gotta save all the dollars I can, only to find out those tolls were mad expensive to blow. But yeah, so I moved up here, had a job like that week. My buddy let me stay at his place for a little while until I got my own, and then it's been sick. New York's definitely, I don't want to say improved because I think I was always good, but it's definitely evolved my style as far as like photography or maybe music. It's like less beachy for sure. It's less Beach Boys, Florida style, But I think it's a cool advancement. I've kind of noticed it in some of my recent work. I feel like maybe I've gone a little more minimal in like the stuff that I'm shooting. More concentrated, more focused, I guess, or something like that. But I don't know if that's like the stages of like leaving home for the first time and like trying to figure out life, like actually, and all that fun stuff behind that. But yeah, New York's sick. Winter's been long, but we're finally getting the trees are finally getting leaves again. So I'm like coming back to life. I'm like, yes, let's go.
That's awesome. That's sick, dude. I'm stoked that you're there. I feel like it, especially like for some reason, I feel like Long Island suits you. I don't know why, but I just feel like
it's so funny because like pretty much everybody I knew in Florida is like, you moved to New York? And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna move to New York. Yeah, New York? Like not California? And I'm like, nah, not California.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So what's next? Like, are you gonna do another book? I know you're selling prints and stuff and taking tons of photos, but kind of what's like something you want
Yeah.
to do?
So actually, the reason I bought that new camera is because my other camera, the little Pentax, it freezes in under 40-degree weather. It's like
Dang.
pretty much like the shutter, the mirror slab, like gets frozen open, and so you can't really shoot with it. So this winter, I pretty much spent like no time taking photos. Like I pretty much just like hung out, didn't do anything because kind of wrote a little bit of music, not too much, but I bought that camera and I'm like, oh, it's back. I can finally take photos. So I've been going a little OD on it, but
That's awesome.
I'm not really certain what's next. I've got a couple songs in the pipeline. I'm not certain when I'm going to put them out. Like, I feel like no rush to do anything. Like
Yeah.
New York was such a big thing for me to like move here. It was like, wow, I finally like did the one thing that I was going to do my whole life. And what do I do next? Like, what's the next big, like, you know, like when you sit on a goal for like 10 years, you're like, what more is there to do? Like, I'm going to plan a trip to France or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think I'm going to find something a little more purposeful. I feel like I'm shooting more like willy-nilly right now. I think I'm going to try and hone in on some sort of subject, especially with like this coronavirus and all the weird, like the election year and stuff like that. It's like, there's some like pretty good political ideas that I think I could lean into, but I'm not certain.
Yeah.
So
You should do another book, dude.
Yeah.
Or an act like do a full.
Yeah, I'd love to do like a full-on photo book.
Yeah.
Just like a solid like 100-page book.
Yeah.
Just like freaking huge. Yeah. I'd be so into that. Yeah. It's cool because it's like, I mean, I grew up in Florida where like surfing is pretty much second nature for most people that live on the coast. It's like either you grew up going to the beach fishing or you grew up going to the beach surfing or, you know, whatever. And so you kind of find the same thing here. Like in New York, like a lot of people surf here. And I just never would have expected that. Like I knew that Long Beach and like the Rockaways and then Montauk, obviously, like big surf towns. But I thought maybe like a handful of you. No, there's a bunch of surfers here. I was like, this is crazy.
That's cool.
So I think I would kind of want to hone in on like the differences between like the surfing I grew up around versus like the surfing here. Because like the surfing here is like those dudes are gnarly. Like the guys that get out there. I mean, I bought a wetsuit recently, so I've been able to go out, and the water's I think in the 40s. These dudes are out there like just chilling in the water all winter long. Doesn't even matter if like the water's icy or not. They're just like gotta surf. These like hardcore, like laid back. Like the Atlantic in Florida is only like 75 degrees.
Yeah.
Most of the time. So here, I mean, it's been in the 40s since October. These dudes are on the regular surf. I'm like, that is cold.
Yeah.
So
that would be cool.
These guys are like
the contrast of the different kind of surf cultures, I guess.
Right. It's almost like more dedication here. It's like they really want to surf here. Like where
it's
in Florida, it's like, you should probably just go surf.
Yeah, it's like more aggressive surfing probably too. Like, you know, like style-wise. That's kind of cool. Are you what kind of board are you riding? A short board or you got like a?
I stay on the log, dude. The 9.2.
Oh, yeah. That's sick.
Yeah, dude. I don't know. There's something about like the longboard style, just being able to run up to the nose, and there's so much more style behind it for me. Like when I like see someone like Joel Tudor just like hanging 10, I'm just like, no one has ever done it better than that guy. Like that is the peak of surfing for me.
That whole crew, that like West Coast crew, like Joel, Alex Knost, like all those guys are just.
Oh my gosh. Well, what's even sick is like my brother lives in Jack's Beach, and that's where I don't know. I think it's WSL longboarding champ Justin Quintel. You ever heard of him?
Yeah.
Dude's from Jack's Beach. Dude's top of the world right now, longboard champ. He's so sick. Oh my gosh, so much style. So it's cool to see that come out of Florida. But he's tight with like that crew, obviously. So
yeah, that's awesome. Sick, dude. Well, that's pretty sick. I'm glad that you're out there doing it, and you achieved your goal, man. Like you were saying, that's crazy.
I know. On to the next, I guess. I don't know. Like what's next? I'm in this weird, I've been in this weird place for a couple of months too. Since I moved here, really, it was like when I realized, I was like, oh, I'm here. Like, okay, what's to look forward to anymore? Like, it's like always that thing in the back of your head, like, oh, one day I'll get around to that. So
yeah,
maybe I should do something on that. That's like a first, like, like people's idea of what's an seemingly unattainable goal.
Yeah, for sure.
That would be a good one. Ooh, brainstorming on the podcast. Let's go.
Dude, you just got to keep doing photos and music, man. Keep making stuff.
Yeah,
the music was sick. I liked the New Face stuff. It was cool.
Yeah. Hoping to tame it down a little bit more. I got kind of reached this point in my life where writing fast songs is like kind of phasing out of that. I'm trying to think of something a little slower, just trying to make something chill. But what's like that EP came straight out of like surfing on the East Coast in Florida, where it's like I listen to those songs now and they just don't even they don't hit the same way as they did when I lived on the beach in Florida, at least. Like now that I'm living in Long Island, I'm like, these songs feel so out of place for me. So it's like kind of adapting that. I mean, I'm still using the same gear. I still have the same guitar, still have the same chops on guitar, but it's like I have to mold like my style to like the situation or to my surroundings at least.
Yeah. I mean, that's the cool part about music and art is like where you live really makes a difference on what you make. It's kind of crazy. Like,
right.
Very interesting.
Yeah. I think I was watching, what was that did you watch the Kevin Parker, Zane Lowe interview that he did after releasing his last album?
No, I didn't watch it.
Okay. He was just talking about how he, like his first record he made in like this dingy, like, dorm room-esque like room that he like, it was like this really cool sound, but then like the last record he made in LA, like with this panning ocean view or something like that. It was just like, yeah, it's sick. Like, it's just like I was able to get in the headspace for these, like, kind of making the comparison of making like beautiful music in like a terrible environment versus making beautiful music in a beautiful environment. It's like, do they have the same impact and stuff like that? So
that's interesting, dude.
Yeah.
What you should do is you should do another zine, but then do music to go along, or like a project that goes along with the zine.
That's been one in the making. Yeah.
That's sick.
I've always wanted to make like a gallery where you just walk in, but you have to listen to the whole record. Like you have to like maybe make like a countdown. Like you walk with this little dotted line, and it'll get you around in the time that the record plays. Yeah,
that's sick, dude. That would be really
definitely
cool. Awesome. All right, dude. Well, sick, man. Like I said, stoked for you. I'm glad we got to do this.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Heck yeah, man, and keep on making things and making stuff, you know?
Yeah, for sure.